Yo, what's going on? How's everyone doing? I'll wait for more people to get in here before we start. But basically just wanted this live stream to be just like a little hangout session. Just talk about anything, answer any questions, see what everybody's up to these days. The market is suffering. Yeah, it's not the market's not doing as good as it was a little bit ago, but to me it seems like a great buying opportunity for a lot of companies right now. What stocks are you guys in other than Neo? And if you're in Neo, let me know if you're in Neo too. You got this elbow cough. Yo, how's it going? For sure. Yeah, the market in my opinion like can't really trust it right now as far as trading. And that's just how I feel about it because you never know what it's going to do right now, and it's just very volatile. So for me personally, I've just been building a position in Clover Health. I've added some Neo as well, but man, where is the money to buy? I'm almost with $0. Man, you're telling me today's my last day in Michigan, so I'm moving to Texas actually tomorrow. So I have to buy like all new furniture and pay like for a whole bunch of different stuff, and you know how that goes. So I I haven't been buying as much as I usually do, but I've still been buying because I feel like the it's just a buying opportunity right now. From a long-term perspective, I try to think about like, hey, where's this company going to be by like 2030, or at least 2025, at least 2026. 5 years out, 5 to 10 years, long-term, good companies. Historically has always been good for people. So Nokia, what are my thoughts on Nokia? Honestly, I think I would honestly look into other 5G plays before I played Nokia. Like one 5G play that I would make if I was going to, which honestly I kind of really thought about this, and um yeah, there's like a lot of hot sectors and a lot of innovation happening right now. So like 5G is one of the things that comes with that, and people want to get into like 5G. People want to find that 5G play because just like we saw with like 3G, 4G, people are saying 5G could be an inflection point, and the Internet of Things is going to be big in that. But as far as like Nokia and like I say all that to say that I don't need to invest in every sector that's going to bubble. I just need to define my circle of confidence and stay within it. So I'm really just doubling down on what I have that might not get the most views for the channel. I don't do this. I don't do YouTube for views. I don't chase clout stocks. I just genuinely invest in stuff that I like and stuff that I see that has potential. So, if the time is right, I run into liquidity constraints like everyone else. If the time is right and the money is right, then I'll invest in like some a 5G play. But I feel like there's tons of growth in this stuff that I'm invested in right now. And if I was going to invest in 5G, the play that I've been looking at is Ericsson for a good amount of reasons. Could you recommend some really solid and understandable books about risk management? I can recommend books about just like as far as like the stock market for myself. I've learned everything from that I know so far, and I still have a lot to learn. I'm no expert. I'm pretty much here learning with you guys. But as far as risk management, I've learned from touching the stove. I've had to touch the stove to see that it's hot. I was the guy. I've bought options that I shouldn't have bought. I've, you know, I didn't size my position the right way. Um, I entered things that I probably shouldn't have entered. And every time I make a mistake, I don't get mad about it. I just say, hey, what can I take away from this mistake that'll make sure that there's a lesser percentage chance of me making the same mistake again. So as far as risk management, I can't really recommend you any books on stock market risk management. I feel like a lot of it kind of is common sense, but at the same time, just be practical. The what I will say that is something that you could probably hold on to is just be practical. People who make the most money in the stock market are the people who are practical. There's a lot of people trying to make a lot of quick decisions, a lot of people trying to chase fast cash, and the people who make the most money are those who invest long term. Like you'll see someone who's like 30x their initial investment. How often does that happen in a short amount of time? Just be practical. Know that it takes time, it takes patience. Um, you can't cut corners. You just have to respect the grind, really. Mm, we like your channel because of your honesty. Thank you. Um, Neo price at the end of this year. I'm gonna give Neo. I'm not gonna say the end of the year, but I'm gonna say 12 months price target for Neo. I'll say $85 conservatively. Um, and like I said, that just comes with being practical. If I set my expectations so high, even though I know that Neo can most likely outperform $85 in the next 12 months, then I'll be disappointed if it doesn't happen. And then my mind, it's all about like, as much as this is like, being smart and making like good decisions, it's also about your mindset. So if I tell myself like, okay, I want Neo to be like $50, I think Neo's going to be like $55 in the next 2 weeks. Then that leads to like me having like a more short-term mindset. Like I said, I'm thinking till 2030. So if I say $85 by the end of the year, conservatively, then I set the bar pretty low. And if it goes over that, then it's exceeded my expectations. But I really don't care about what Neo is at right now. As if you guys notice at all, I'm like very calm. I'm not stressed out about anything going on in the market. I really don't care right now. There's going to be trials and tribulations on the way to 2030. Like I said, I kind of just look till 2030. I plan to hold good companies for a long amount of time. Um, am I still in Virgin Galactic? No, I think I talked about that in a few live streams, how I actually ended up selling out of Virgin Galactic. I ended up selling out of Virgin Galactic. Um, why did I sell out of Virgin Galactic? Oh, because what happened? I think like an engine failed during a test flight or something like that. And then I just kind of had an epiphany and I was like, you know what? Why am I even like Virgin Galactic? Yeah, that's a great play. But like you got to think about the risk reward. And in my opinion, the risk reward for Virgin Galactic is not as great as the risk reward in some other plays. When you're dealing with human life is very precious. One false move, one bad thing happens, and in my opinion, that's the end of the company because people's health, people's safety is at risk when it comes to that. Now, why not just sell out of Virgin Galactic, take my profits, which I did, put the money in Neo, and see how Neo works? And guess what? The money was better off in Neo. It outperformed Virgin Galactic's growth. I haven't looked at Virgin Galactic um, within like the last 3, 4, 5, 6 days, maybe. But last time I looked at it, it was falling. I saw that Chamath, Palihapitiya, he pulled some money out of it. I don't know if he pulled money out again. I watched his reasoning as to why he pulled money out of it. He said, like everyone else, he runs into liquidity constraints. He wants to do all these cool things, and he gets to the point where, like we all do. This has happened to me before, where you put too much money into like too many different things, and something comes up, and you need the money. And basically, that was the reason that he gave for selling some of Virgin Galactic. He still does hold Virgin Galactic. And then like I'm not sure if he said this, but I'm not sure if this happened either because, like I said, I'm not in the company anymore, so I'm not too mentally invested. If he stepped down from Virgin Galactic as the chairman, but I just think there's better risk reward out there. Why not just put my money in electric vehicles, instead of trying to send people to space where anything can go wrong? And it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to turn. I'm not bearish on Virgin Galactic. I think it can succeed, but being practical, it always comes back to that. For me personally, looking at the risk reward, there's better places to put my money. And honestly, like a lot of the plays that I have like way outperformed that. So, what are your thoughts on the IPO of Neo on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange? So for Neo to IPO on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, ARK Invest is buying, and I'll talk about that in a second. For Neo to IPO on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, to me, is a very good thing. You know, some people say like Neo is always diluting, Neo is always um, people don't understand what Neo is. It's not just a car company. Neo has a whole bunch of different arms, legs, branches to the business. And in my opinion, Neo has potential to become like one of the biggest companies in the world. And then that's the first thing right there. So something that has potential to become one of the biggest companies in the world. How do you become one of the biggest companies in the world? Well, it certainly does. I can't answer that question, but it certainly doesn't happen without capital. So Neo needs more capital. And then what you'll see with a lot of growth companies is yes, Neo has lots of cash on their balance sheet. But at the same time, growth companies need to put that cash back into the business. So, and I'll veer off onto a tangent real quick because when I made the decision to sell UWMC, a lot of people were frustrated. By the way, it's still lower than when I sold out of it. A lot of people were frustrated, like the fundamentals haven't changed. Why would you sell out of UWMC? I was really thinking about this for a long time, and I decided I don't want my growth to be paid out in dividends. Me personally, I'm too young for that. There's nothing wrong with having dividends. There's nothing wrong with being a dividend investor. There's nothing wrong with being a young dividend investor either. But me personally, that did not fit my strategy. So what did I do? Out of the tiny $1,000 that I invested, I took a $87 loss. Nothing. And guess what? I sold a covered call for Neo for $85. How much did I make? $1,000. So I made 10 times my money back. And it seems that everybody was really upset with me taking a loss in UWMC. And guess what else I did? I put that UWMC money into Clover Health. And guess what? I made that money back there too. So I didn't lose any money at all. In fact, the only thing I did was mark a $87 loss and realize that for tax purposes. And guess what? That's going to reduce my taxable bill. If you don't know, when you're a YouTuber, the way if you set yourself up to the point where you're a business, which I did from the very start because I'm a business-minded person, I have to pay taxes on whatever ad revenue I generate. And I don't generate that much ad revenue, and I don't do this for ad revenue. But at the same time, realizing that $87 loss, that's $87 less that I have to pay in taxes, right? And then on top of that, I made all that money back. And it's in my long-term portfolio. And you don't realize capital gains until you sell, and long-term capital gains are even less taxes. So for anyone that says, why did you sell out of UWMC? Honestly, I said I like the company, the fundamentals are good. You know, I might even get back in it after like 30 days or so that it doesn't become a wash sale. But to this very point, to this very day, it's still lower than when I sold out of it. And having $1,000 in a dividends in a stock that pays 40 cents per share, which is high, don't get me wrong, but you need to put a lot more money in to really, you know, have that dividend be significant. So it didn't make sense. Everyone's situation, like I said, it's personal finance. Everyone's situation is different. For somebody who wants to put $20,000 in there, you know, they're probably making a dividend that it's quarterly, but it equates to like I did the math. It might equate to something like $666 a month. I didn't put $20,000 in there. I only had $1,000 in there. And I kind of went off on a tangent, but oh yeah, we were talking about Neo and the Hong Kong exchange. So yes, on the second point of this argument, why would anybody be mad that Neo, a Chinese company, we're U.S. investors, right? A Chinese company wants to raise capital in China. publicly. And I say publicly because, they've already raised money privately from private investors, but they want to give their actual country, the opportunity to have a piece of Neo's pot. And that's only going to help out the business. Like I said in the last video, Chamath said something that was very interesting about Tesla, and that stuck out to me. And he was actually talking about it in relation to Clover Health. He said you want to get into a company at the early stages of product market fit. That's when Tesla had the Model 3. And then when Tesla had the Model 3, that was kind of their major success. And everyone's like, yo, Tesla, this is the next big thing. And now everyone wants to invest in Tesla. And then all the money starts coming in, all the capital starts coming in. They're able to raise capital at will. And when a company is able to raise capital at will and they have so much money coming in, success almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, like I said at the beginning of this channel, when I did a few videos, I said, where do I see Neo? I see that people missed out on the opportunity to invest in Tesla because they failed to value it as a technology company. I don't want to make the same mistake with Neo, and I won't make the same mistake with Neo. You can go back and watch that video. It's literally still there when Neo was at like $4 or $5 or so. So I see Neo pretty much at the early stages of product market fit. If you think all Neo has to do is, scale the operation and continue to innovate, what do they need to do that? They need to raise capital. So I have no problem with, investors coming in there. It says it's going to be about 5% of their existing share capital that goes on to the Hong Kong exchange, about 5% dilution. I have no problem with giving up 5% for them to make the company exponentially bigger. That's what I think about Neo listing on the Hong Kong exchange. And then they said, reportedly, there's also rumors that they might also list on the Shenzhen and the Shanghai exchange, which is China's A-class market, A-class shares market. But in a nutshell, that's what I think about Neo raising more capital in China. It's a Chinese company. What are your thoughts on MP Materials? So, I was actually talking about this in Discord. I was talking about ABML and MP Materials. There's a lot of guys invested in ABML. And for that reason, ABML has its own page in the Discord. And then MP Materials is something that I really like and I'm looking into more. I'm not necessarily invested in it because, like I said, I'm pretty young, risk tolerance probably pretty high. And I feel like concentration builds wealth. When I get to where I want to be, I diversify more. But if there is a next company that I'm thinking about, if there is something that's on my mind right now that I need, or a sector that I need to get into, it's how are we going to, keep on creating those batteries for the electric vehicles to run. And I'm looking at either ABML or MP Materials. Chamath Palihapitiya also said that he has invested in MP Materials. So nothing bad to say about it so far. And then I'll also say that I haven't done enough research. Thank you, Obi, for your devotion and time to share with all of us. Do you have any thoughts on Palantir? Someone actually just asked me about Palantir this morning, one of my good friends. And I basically said that, I think Palantir is a good long-term hold. I need to do more research on it for sure. But it's a sector that really isn't going anywhere. It's probably going to get bigger as well. And those are the type of areas that I like to invest in. And, I'm thinking about maybe even if I'm not investing in certain companies, maybe I can talk about them. Maybe I can give my opinion on them. Something like Jim Cramer does, like the lightning round. He's not invested in all of those companies, but he forms a quick opinion on it. It's not really like a full, like how I am on my videos, and no blame to him at all, because you can't really do research on all those companies that are coming at you at light speed every day. So I don't want anyone to take that as shade or anything. Like, Jim Cramer's a really smart guy. ARK Invest keeps on buying. I meant to get back to you, Mr. Boss. You were talking about Virgin Galactic. Yeah, ARK Invest, they are buying Virgin Galactic. ARK Invest they're very diversified as well. So When you see ARK Invest buying like something like Virgin Galactic, they just don't want to miss out on it in case it pops off. But like if I think about like the risk reward ratio, there's other places that make more sense to me. And I do like the company, and I was in the company, and I was making videos on it for a while, and I was pretty bullish on the company. So no knock to Virgin Galactic. Space travel is awesome, and it's something that also makes investing fun. But then I come back to that thing where I just said of like, hey, be practical. Like I got to be careful these days. It's about not only like making money, but keeping the money that you made for me. And I definitely think that Virgin Galactic will succeed, but in the one off chance that something bad happens, God forbid anything like that happens, I feel like I'll kick myself because it's like, dude, you're investing in space travel. Like you should invest in space travel, but like I think I would rather like invest in things more practical. And that's just a personal preference right now. What's going on? Hey, hey, nothing much. Just chilling, just hanging out with everyone, seeing what you guys are up to, checking in. Hey, Obi, how are you? I think for taxi and police car, the swapping is key to succeed because they can't wait for a charge. Oh yeah, no, I completely agree with you. If you think about Neo's robo-taxi network that they are planning on building out with Intel's Mobileye, um, taxis need to make profit. How do they make profit? They make profit when users request rides. Um, so the more users that request rides, the more money they're bringing in, the more revenue they're generating. So how are you going to be able to keep those taxis on the road, keep them going from one ride to another ride to another ride? Battery swapping. It's the key. It makes sense. Um, because you already know that supercharging is something that you're not supposed to do too frequently. So you can't have the batteries in those robo taxis or whatever supercharging all the time. Supercharging you're supposed to do like if you're going on road trips or like if you're running out of energy or like stuff like that. You're not supposed to supercharge every day. So battery swapping makes sense. It's not going to actually lead to any battery degradation, and it's going to be the quickest way, 5 minutes to get that car back on the road to go take another ride. And that's after like it runs out of charge, and battery life is improving vastly, pretty much every year, and the cost is also coming down. So it makes sense to me. I completely agree with you, Gerardo. What do you think about SNDL? I believe that's Sundial Growers, right? I have no opinion. Um, my one of my friends actually works at a cannabis company, and the company works with them. So that's pretty interesting. He also works with what's this one? This cannabis company in Vegas, Planet 13. He works directly with Planet 13. Are you a fan of Chamath? I dropped 8K in IPOF at 12. Hope it pays off. I am a big fan of Chamath. This guy is someone who's really good at judging social sentiment and where technology is going. He has a track record to show, and he has so much confidence when he speaks. And I'm just a big fan. Like aside from making investment decisions, just a fan of like what he's done. And if I wasn't investing in the stock market, you know, some let me go back. A lot of people who invest in the stock market, they look to Warren Buffett. I feel like I look to Chamath. He knows he's more relatable to me. And I feel like a lot of our generation. So I look to Chamath in the way that like a lot of older investors look to Warren Buffett. And I love Warren Buffett. So no, I hope no one takes that the wrong way. Neo to the moon, 7,642 shares strong. Hey, Michael, well, I will say that you have more shares than me, and I haven't revealed how many Neo shares I have, but you definitely have more shares than me. Great job. Congrats on the gains. That's a lot of shares. Yes. More than 5 times what Neo Electric Vehicles has. Um, what do you think of Clover? So, what do I think of Clover Health? I'm actually very bullish on it. Um, Switching up and like not just putting money into Neo right now. Clover Health is pretty much what I'm going in right now. Clover Health, whenever I get some extra money laying around or like whenever I have money to invest in, I am putting money into Clover Health because Clover Health just makes sense to me. If you think about it, just makes sense. I feel like down the line, we're all going to ask ourselves, like, why wouldn't people want cheaper Medicare? It just makes sense. What's insufficient about the healthcare space, I say this all the time, is that business value doesn't actually equate to consumer value. If you take an elderly patient and they go to five different physicians, odds are that they're going to get multiple diagnoses. So Clover Health is helping to reduce variability in decision making in healthcare on one front with their Clover Assistant software, which every 3 to 4 weeks they release a new version of it. Who's iterating like that in the healthcare space? Who's actually sending stuff out, having it stress tested by the users, going back, making revisions, and doing the same thing like over and over again? Clover Health is. Um, so that's one thing. They're a software company. Software companies are high margin. Next is that they're, and more importantly, is that they're a Medicare insurance provider. Now they are 47% cheaper than they're 47% cheaper than government Medicare plans, Medicare Advantage, and they are 17% cheaper than their nearest competitor. Their net promoter score is in the mid 50s, I believe. I can't remember all the net promoter scores right now. I believe it was like 53, 54, 55, something like that, which is really good. People like the product. So if they definitely are, like they say in their business model, in their slogan or whatever, um, better using technology to drive better outcomes at lower costs. It just makes sense to me. By the way, there's just over 21 million people eligible for help for Medicare right now out of like the 62 million people in the world. One thing's for certain. People are going to get older. More people are going to need Medicare. By the way, the Biden administration wants to reduce the age of Medicare from 65 to 60. So that's kind of like this double whammy type of thing where there's two factors in the market that are going to cause more people to need Medicare a lot sooner than we think. And Chamath said this, but with interest rates being so low, anybody can pretty much look like a genius right now. And it's important to know where a company is going to be by like 2025 per se, or 2030 if you want to drive real returns. And I'm pretty bullish on Clover. Um, I'm like, Obi, diversification preserves wealth, concentration builds it. I'm going for the grand slam. Hey, that's exactly what I said earlier in the live stream. I'm young, feel like risk tolerance is a little bit higher. When I get to the point where I feel like I have enough and I want to grow it a little bit more conservatively, then that makes sense for me to diversify more than I am. What do I hold now? Like 8 stocks. And that's probably, I'm just thinking about like all my investments. Like I have Bitcoin, I have Ethereum, I have I have real estate REITs. I have yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I have right now. So I have like 8, 9 investments. Palantir, I talked about it already. I said it's an industry that's definitely growing. Seems like a strong long-term investment. I personally haven't dug into it. Tough Built to Pluto. Tough Built is a great company, super slept on. I love the company. I'll be holding that for a long time. I think that with the way that they're innovating and how quickly they're putting out tools and kind of like reacting to like the market, I feel like they could actually end up being one of the biggest names in construction. So hopefully that happens. If that does happen, well, we all got in at a steal. Catherine says, "Hi, first time watching you live. Thanks for joining the live stream. I appreciate it, Catherine. Um, $5 from Tyler. Thank you for the super chat, Tyler. I appreciate it. That means a lot. I appreciate the super chat. Wanted to say thank you. I appreciate your content. I've been watching your channel since day one. Holding Neo, lowest cost basis 260. Also have Clover. Nice, nice. It's always cool to see that a lot of us are in the same stocks, and I love Neo and Clover. What do you think about a 1 year hold on GE since they have like 75% or something like that below? Oh, since they're 75% below their all-time high, the current valuation is like the same as 30 years ago. Um, you know, that I feel like it's not my cup of tea, but valuation wise, I would have to look at like the the PE ratios and all that type of stuff and the price to book and uh but based on what you're saying, it sounds undervalued, but really have to think about where the company is going to go. And I don't know too much about the company, to be honest, and I don't want to be like someone who sits up here and acts like I do. How do you feel about hims and hers? What do you mean hims and hers? I can see Obi on television one day as a billionaire, too smart not to be. Thank you. I definitely don't want to be a billionaire though. Trust me. I've met a lot of millionaires um just from starting this YouTube channel, and it's like, you know, I have conversations with them, and just a lot of the stuff that they do on a day to day is really stressful. And like, so I know that someone who's a billionaire is probably handling like a lot more things than that. I definitely do want to be a millionaire. That's a goal of mine. And then I'm probably going to want to 10x that once I get there. So, and that can happen just by investing in stocks. And it's not easy. It's not easy the way that I'm trying to do it either. It's like, you know, I'm working, then on top of that, I'm working on my channel. And then while I'm working on and then in between all that, I'm researching companies, I'm figuring out what's going on in the market. I'm staying up to date every day. Um, and then I'm just kind of figuring out like ways to improve and like better myself, because I know that your biggest wealth building tool, and a lot of people will not like this, but Dave Ramsey's right about this. Your biggest wealth building tool is your income. Um, BOXL or TVLT? TVLT all the way. Oh, private question, but what percentage of your portfolio is Neo? That one I'll answer. I have to check right now, but let me see. Neo is 55% of my portfolio. 55%. Oh, Eddie asked the same question. It's 55%. Appreciated one of the few reviews of TBLT you did. Yeah, thank you. I need to talk about TBLT soon too. I know that earnings is coming up, so we'll definitely be talking about TBLT soon. They don't have too much news coming out, but because it's a small company, but I understand. Thoughts on CCIV/Lucid Motors? Okay, I'm going to talk about CCIV and Lucid Motors. Spoke about this before, but there's a few reasons I wouldn't invest in CCIV or Lucid Motors, or they're the same thing actually. Sorry. There's a few reasons that I wouldn't invest in that company because one, if you think about the Lucid Air, essentially it's targeting the same market as the Neo ET7. So great for that. Great for going after, the BMWs, the Audis, the Mercedes, the luxury segment. But if you think about Lucid Motors as a company, they are a one, what do you call it? They're a one trick pony, right? They're really building themselves up off of that Lucid Air. Neo has the EC6. The Neo has the ET7 on the way. Neo has the ES6, the ES8. Neo is the best premium electric SUV maker in the world. They are selling the most. Even though they're not selling too many still, they're a niche automaker, but at least they have a working product. So CCIV to me is, and then I don't see CCIV having real revenues till like 2025, 2026-ish. So, if you get in early and it works out great for you. But like I said, beginning of the video, I always go back to this is I'm to the point where I'm being more practical. I don't want to get burned. So it's not worth the it's a gamble right now, in my opinion. Um, let's see. Love that logo. Thank you. Go green, go white. Um, HMBL, that's the humble pay, right? I haven't like invested in that or looked into it, but I've had people tell me about it. Oh, telehealth stock is hims and hers. Oh, I've never heard of it. What do you think about the market at the moment, and how long will the market stay bumpy like this? So investors are trying to really, right now, they're kind of trying to telegraph inflation. They're trying to see what happens. They're trying to make sure that, everybody's had tremendous gains. If you were in 2020 and then we kind of rode out till like 2021, made a little bit of upside. People have had tremendous gains, and it's like, everyone wants to make sure that if the music stops, they're out. Me personally, with the way I invest, I ignore all that. It doesn't matter. I'm not planning on timing the market because one, that's going to break my philosophy of being practical. If I'm not practical, I'm going to get burned. Because yes, I can make money here and I can make money tomorrow and I can make money the next day, but one day I'm going to get too greedy and lose control of my emotions. But when is the market going to turn around? The market's going to turn around, in my opinion, when when the economy reopens up, in my opinion. First, I think that stimulus is going to come in. Stimulus, people are going to start putting their stimulus in. We're going to start seeing that stimulus money have a positive effect on the market. So a lot of people already received their stimulus. So I think that we actually do see a run up in the market right now. I feel like we're facing short term headwinds. That's because of bonds. But with bonds and like the yield rising, people don't understand that inflation is actually good for inflation's actually good for for assets over the long term. Real estate is going to increase in value with inflation. It's going to cost you more dollars to buy a property. Stocks, that business is going to charge more for its goods and services. So the price of that asset to buy into it is obviously going to go up with that. People don't understand that over the long term, asset prices are going to go up. But I think when we see the economy reopen and we see a strong reopening and we see that we've really gained control of the virus and the virus is not going to be a thing of the past. It's going to be something that we probably have to live with. But when we see that we can be a normal, productive society again, and like places that have been hit can recover, I think that's when the market will actually be good. And then there's also a time, and then another possibility here is that hey, we might trade flat, sideways, not have too much movement in the stock market for a little bit. There's this whole theory about the lost decade. I'm not too sure what I'm not too sure if that's going to happen, but it's basically a theory saying that asset prices have run up so high that their valuations need to catch up to their fundamental value, and with that happening, we're going to lose some years. Neo expanding to EU now, showroom in Norway looks interesting. Yes, and during the earnings call, they basically said that everything was ready to go in Europe for Neo. I encourage you to take a dive into it since you like Clover, it's like Teledoc. I might check it out for sure. It sounds interesting. Of course. Yo, what's up, Bigfoot? Fluffing Fluff. Please, I feel frustrated with Apple. Your take on this? I honestly haven't been watching Apple, and I should have Apple stock, to be honest. I use so much of Apple's products. It's like, why not have Apple? I don't think Apple's going anywhere. And I'm not sure what it's been doing. Maybe you can help me out. Maybe you can put me, help me get informed to it. Humble Financial would change the world. I hear that all the time about that company. It must be a really good company. I think a solid 8 to 12 month period of consolidation will actually be healthy. Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. Asset prices need to catch up to their fundamental values. Discord chat in the building. Nice, nice, nice. 8 to 12 months, I wouldn't mind if the stock market traded flat. If it dipped, that gives you more time to accumulate. A lot of us, we don't plan on pulling our money out of the stock market probably, anytime soon. If you follow my channel and you think the way that I kind of think, or like we think similarly, we're long term, we're very ambitious. We want to be in 2030 with and kind of reap the benefits of what things like 3D printing and electric vehicles and cybersecurity and fintech has to offer. And we know that we're not going to get that by pulling out before these markets even materialize. COVID will have a short and long term impact on America socially, politically, and economically that may not be recoverable without a global bank financing bailout, or the Fed will just print cash. Mm, Discord Ray, oh, it's just me. Hey, Obi, just logged in. Was wondering if you can share your 1 year Neo price guesstimate, 5 year Neo price target. So I said next 12 months. Conservatively, I put Neo at $85, and that's conservatively. Based on, and yeah, it depends on market conditions exactly. For the next 5 years, honestly, I typically don't set price targets. But where would I want to see Neo in the next 5 years? I know where I want to see Neo by 2030. I want to see Neo at $1,000 per share. I think it's quite possible actually. We're rating, where's banana at? I'm dead. Okay. Hit the like button. Everyone in here, I always forget to say that whenever I live stream, but make sure to hit the like button. It really does go a long way helping out the channel. Would you pay off debt quickly first or invest over the next 6 to 12 months? I would probably do a half and half type of thing. I mean, like I have $10,000 worth of student loans right now. I could pay it off, but I could pay it off right now cash, but I have that money sitting in an investment. And whenever the freeze stops, I'll pay it off. But that's different. You gotta look at the interest rate. That's what matters. If you have 7% debt, knock that out. If you have anything over three, really, just knock it out. Because those type of things just keep you in debt for too long. It's too much interest. What's your 1 year price target? Oh, yeah, it definitely depends on the interest rate. Everybody's situation is also different. It depends on how much you're making as well, your income. So, for me personally, if my debt's below 3% and I'm making significantly more, I'm getting a higher return, I wouldn't pay it off right away. I wouldn't rush to pay it off because you never know what can happen. Like for example, like a stock like Neo, probably like 4, 5, 6, 7x or something like that. Now, what if I went and just go and paid off that entire 10,000? You just gotta, be practical with it. For example, like I financed my car. I can pay off. I can buy the whole car in cash. I bought a brand new, not brand new. I bought a used Alfa Romeo. I could pay the whole car off in cash, but I financed it to leave like money in the market. So, and then the payment's not high because I put down a good chunk of change on it. So if I'm making more money doing other things, why would I go ahead and pay the whole thing off, especially when interest rates are low right now and money's pretty cheap to borrow and I have around a 3% interest rate. Um, it's all about the fundamentals. Completely agree. 1 year for me is 75. That's $5 above Deutsche Bank's 1 year price target. What's your speculation for the market this year? I think you make money while the music's playing, but I don't think that this year really ends as fruitful as 2020 was, and a lot of people are going to learn that lesson the hard way, that we don't just have amazing growth every year. 2020 was a great year if you got in. A lot of us here, we're all young, and then a lot of us are, this is our first time investing, and we have to understand that like the market doesn't always, do what 2020 did. Because the 10-year T note, like I said in the Discord, I said this probably like a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that. That I see the 10-year T note finishing the year at 2% yield, at 1.75 to 2% yield, and I actually held on to that theory because of Kevin O'Leary, and that's what he was saying, and that's exactly pretty much what's happening. I mean, what's it at right now? One six one. It's probably at like 1.68% right now, and that's why investors are fearing inflation as the bonds continue to rise. So you never know what's going to happen in the market. I certainly don't try to time it. If I see companies that are undervalued from a long-term perspective, then I'll invest. And by the way, I know I talked about UWMC earlier in this live stream. I still actually have some UWMC. I said I sold it all, but I forgot I have a completely different portfolio, and it has some UWMC in it. And I don't really like look at that portfolio. I just go in there and add from time to time. And there's a good amount of money in there as well. So I do have some UWMC, and I'll probably leave that there. But I'm not investing in the company actively or actively following it. Definitely going to be a crazy year. Lots of volatility, in my opinion. We're seeing a lot of volatility. It's like the market goes up, you can never trust it. Thank you for the super chat, JGB Renovations. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. You guys don't have to take the time out of your day to hear anything that I'm saying. I'm just, a guy talking on the internet trying to see if I can help people. So I appreciate you guys a lot. Elbow cough. I'm dead. Do you think the tech wars limit the international integration of EVs like the war with social media, data, and Google information? Mm, I mean, it's certainly a possibility because um, you got to think about it like we just need geopolitical tensions to calm down. Someone asked me a question that's not exactly your question, but quite similar. They said, I forgot what the question was, but it prompted me to respond with, um, Tesla needs China way more than Neo needs the US. So that's kind of how I look at it, and I feel like both parties will eventually reach an agreement. Do you keep an eye on the VIX to determine where the markets are heading? I do watch the VIX. I do watch the VIX, and I also watch the fear and greed indicator, which is basically just the summation of what's going on with the VIX as well. What's your take on NMDM? Honestly, like from what I've heard from people, I haven't actually delved in and done my own research. I hear that it is a good 3D printing company. I heard that they're actually also going to be 3D printing semiconductors and or chips for like electric vehicles and like things like that, especially with like the shortage and everything going on. But as far as 3D printing, my only 3D printing play is Stratasys 3D printing, and I have my reasons for that. I've done a video on it, but basically, I believe that they're going to be a huge manufacturer of airplane parts. Kathy Woods also, and I basically came to that conclusion from Kathy Woods, and the reason I invested in it before that was before I even like knew Kathy Woods or ARK Invest was even invested in it, because they're one of the oldest and largest manufacture 3D printing manufacturers. So They have depth of product that they offer. They span across different industries. So I was like, okay, so their size is likely to keep like competitors at bay, or is likely to have them at least have their own position or their own place in this market of 3D printing. And then when I saw that with Kathy Woods, it reaffirmed what I was already thinking. Except I didn't think that they would have a place in aerospace. So it gave me a reason to continue to hold my shares, and I still hold my shares in Stratasys. And since I invested in Stratasys, at one point I had the same returns in Stratasys pretty much as I had in Neo. I think it was like at $55 at one point or something like that, somewhere in the 50s. And I was telling people like to get in when it was at 12, but I guess it wasn't a company that gained as much traction as something like Neo. So that's also an area where I could be investing in. I want to make sure that I get more shares of Stratasys if I can. I think it's a good company, and 3D printing is something that I like to have exposure to. Yeah, they need China. They need Look, China's the biggest EV market in the world. There's 500 plus electric vehicle makers. There's more coming. Everybody knows this is a growing market. Everybody wants a piece of it. People who have never made cars in their life want to make electric vehicles now and be a part of the race, the EV race. And it's just like it's only going to get more and more competitive. But again, that's where the market is. That's where the people are buying electric vehicles. And there's other places too, like Norway and such. But of course, Tesla needs China way more than Neo needs the US. Not really. Majority of the people in the US have gas cars. Small percentage of the population in the US has electric cars. We're seeing more and more every year. Don't get me wrong. I can walk around my neighborhood and see like a bunch of Teslas and a bunch of driveways, and that's going to become more prevalent over time. But Neo can survive without even coming to the US. Would we like them to come to the US? Absolutely. If there's trade tensions that inhibit them from coming to the US, will they be fine? Absolutely. So that's something that I think we all need to like think about as well. Hey Ro, hey Zeus. What do I think about Palantir? I haven't done my research on it. I think it's a growing industry. I think it makes a lot of sense. So far from what I've read, I think it's going to be a long-term hold. I'm not investing in it personally, just because I said I don't need to invest in every area of growth. I was thinking about investing in 5G, decided not to. I feel like I'm in good plays with a lot of like risk reward, so I don't really need to, um, push the limits on that. If I do have like more, um, if there is like if I'm investing in something else, it'll probably be something that has to do with batteries, like MP materials or ABML. Get Rocked sent me $9.99. Gas money for the new Alpha. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm holding NMDM at 350. Their big advantage is flexible PCB boards, crazy advanced stuff, and also eliminating the need to outsource the prototype boards. Hmm, interesting. See, I'm not too much of a techie when it comes. I'm more of a surface level tech person. I work in tech, but as far as like motherboards and like PCB boards and like stuff like that, I don't really understand too well. But I try to get the gist of it. I try to hear from like industry experts, and then I try to formulate my own opinion as far as that. I'm not somebody who can go like program something or like put stuff together in that aspect. ABML in the building. I might have to join the team. I've been feeling like I need to get involved in something that has to do with batteries and making them more accessible. Thinking about ABML or MP materials. One thing I've wondered recently I've seen three different battery swapping companies. This shows me that there are potential demand for swap stations. I'm wondering why. I think Neo kind of like set the pace. We're seeing Geely do battery swaps, and then we're seeing another company. I forget the name, but I talked about it not too long ago. Do battery swaps, and obviously Neo. Um, if you Google it, like you'll see if you kind of read like the Chinese news from time to time, you'll see that Neo is like leading the battery swap wave. So standardization would greatly benefit them, in my opinion, and the government wants to, by 2025, from what I've read, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, get to a place where battery swap is standardized. They're kind of just experimenting right now, and Neo is leading the experimentation. $5. Thank you for the super chat. What's the chef cooking? Obi, what's the process you go through when evaluating a company's like stock fundamental analysis? Um, it's pretty simple actually. I literally try to first I'll look at the market before I even look at the company. Um, is this an area that's going to grow exponentially? Like you guys hear how I just said, I want to get involved with something that makes batteries more accessible. I'm thinking about ABML or I'm thinking about MP materials. I know there's going to be a demand for more batteries. I know that materials are going to be scarce. I know that already. So then the next thing I say is, okay, well, who's going to be one of the key players? So we can even go to Neo, for example. If you think about, you can think about anything that I'm invested in this framework. Um, I was watching a lot of like videos on Tesla. I was doing a lot of research on Tesla. I figured out that electric vehicles are superior and eventually they'll become the future, and we need cleaner transportation. Tesla, I felt like, yeah, I could get in Tesla, but I feel like there people don't only buy one car. People don't only buy cars from one company, right? So what's going to be like my next best thing? So then this is in the early days. Like, I've grown a lot more conviction in Neo. So I say, okay, well, they're saying that Neo is the Tesla of China. Is Neo really the Tesla of China, or is Neo just an electric car company in China that looks absolutely really good? So I look at it from the outside and I say, okay, now I look at their competitive advantages. So I look at all that, and Neo's a company that's like something that it's probably not the best example, but this is the way I invest. I like to buy companies that have kind of like been through something because that creates a discount when the sentiment's not really necessarily positive. So Neo's was obviously going through a lot in the early days. There was all these bearish articles. I remember this one specifically. Neo's Altman Z score is negative. This is one of the biggest indicators that a company is going to fail. Investor Place put out all the crap that they put out about Neo. Neo stock is a gamble. Then they're like, then they switch their opinion. Eventually, Neo stock is actually worth the gamble, and like now they're just ultimately bullish on Neo. So you have to have some foresight. Fundamentals, I mean, fundamentals definitely matter. Like, why is Neo going to succeed? Battery swapping, that was a big thing for me. Premium, they're positioning themselves as a premium brand. That was really important to me. And then you just look at the car, and like when you have that, and honestly, like at the end of the day, after you look at all the information and all the information's in front of you, it comes down to that gut feeling. Like I look at the car and I'm like, people are gonna buy this car. This is a nice looking car. And then on top of that, you want to definitely like look at like the fundamentals. Okay, they're losing money. Are they going to be able to turn this around? Well, the automotive industry is capital intensive. It's not easy to start a new company. Not many people do it. The people that do it, they usually fail. But then I saw that there's also other things like the government was actually the Hefe government was actually backing They didn't want to let them fail. Tencent doesn't just put their capital, just pull out their capital and light it on fire. If they're putting money in they expect to get a return on it. William Lee, I looked at his track record. So there's all those things there because you can't necessarily look at like Neo's financials in 2019 and say that it's going to be the biggest thing ever. You have to have some vision. So now a company like Yoshin, China wants to build a $306 billion used car market by 2025. Yoshin is, so then I kind of like employed that same framework and worked backwards and said, who's going to be a player? Well, it looks like Yoshin should be a player. Baidu-backed company. The investigation just came out. Basically, Yoshin was the most quality out of all the used car companies in China. Um, so, I kind of just employ that framework, but always start with the market and then I work my way down. It's kind of, if you think about it as like, a funnel, you could think about it as a funnel, really. Like it's wide and then it just gets narrower and narrower and narrower. And every day I'm picking apart and research little things and like I get more information in my head about the company. Um, what's your Yushin price target? Honestly, don't have one. I don't really care what Yushin does until 2025. To be honest, I don't see like I want them to turn things around, but if the stock's not moving, who cares? Short term is really hard to predict, and it can be advantageous to predict what a stock's going to do in the short term. But I don't know. It's a penny stock. Penny stocks are easily manipulatable, and then anything can happen really. But no idea what it's going to do in the short term. But I've been on here for an hour. Um, I'm moving to Texas in the morning. I have a flight 7:30 a.m. So um, tomorrow's video is going to be pre-recorded. It's something I recorded a while ago about Neo, so I'm gonna have that drop. But thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it. I'll catch you guys in the next video, uh, Thursday or Friday, depending on what happens when I get to where I'm going. But um, thank you guys for coming. I'll see you guys. Everyone, be safe, be good.